Hello there again, RosterWatch Nation. It's your friendly neighborhood trash man back with another startling piece of content for you at RosterWatch Nation. Today I'm going to be talking about underrated fantasy assets at the wide receiver position. I talked about running backs a couple outings ago. Now, these receivers may be aging and or underwhelming as of late, but they're in prime positions to perform over their fantasy heads in 2022. So let's go ahead and get started. First off with A.J. Green of the Cardinals. With DeAndre Hopkins out for the first six games of the season, Green, Marquise Brown, and Rondell Moore will literally have their hands full of targets. Green has admitted that his communication with quarterback Kyler Murray was lacking last season, and he still came away with an 848-yard, three-touchdown campaign. Right now, he's being drafted by the likes of Antonio Brown, and Brown's not even going to play this season, most likely. Green isn't the gazelle he used to be, but he can still move the chains, and he's the only Cardinal starting receiver over 5'9", so he has dibs on the red zone fades. After that, we have Sammy Watkins of the Packers. Watkins is perhaps the biggest boomer bust candidate you'll come across going into the 2022 season. He could end up being the number one receiving option in his new home of Green Bay, or he may not even make the team. He does manage to edge rookie Christian Watson and current receivers Allen Lazard and Amari Rodgers for Aaron Rodgers' top target, though. He's in a world of targets. I'm not so much worried about Watkins being able to get a major role as I am about whether he can maintain one if he gets it. Watkins has a history of season-shortening injuries in his wake, and he's not getting any younger. That being said, he's being drafted behind the likes of Nico Collins and A.J. Green, who I just spoke of, both of whom he should outscore if his position stays firm. After that, we have Marvin Jones of the Jaguars. Jones has gone on to lead the Jaguars in receiving in each of the last two seasons, which hasn't resulted in a windfall of fantasy points, but isn't insignificant either. In his first season with Trevor Lawrence under center, Jones ended the season with over 820 yards and 4 touchdowns. So one has to think that if Lawrence improves, so will those numbers. Lawrence improves, rather. Yes, Christian Kirk is now a Jaguar, but Jones has always had competition for targets in Jacksonville during his time there. Guys like Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson currently sit ahead of Jones in consensus ADP, both of whom Jones finished at least 12 spots higher than in 2021. I'm going to take a quick break to talk about Underdog Fantasy. The NFL draft season is underway, and you can already draft in 2022 fantasy leagues on Underdog Fantasy to win cash prizes. Through their slick mobile app and user-friendly site, you can join a league and draft a team in just minutes. Plus, the folks at Underdog are going to help you get started with a deposit match of up to $100 in bonus cash when you sign up and make your first deposit with the promo code ROSTER. I've been playing their Best Ball Mania 3 contest. It's a $10 million prize, folks. So just visit UnderdogFantasy.com, the App Store, or the Google Play Store. Sign up with the code ROSTER, that's ROSTER, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROSTER. So back to underrated fantasy assets. After Marvin Jones, we have Allen Robinson of the Rams. Okay, I'll admit 2021 was an abomination of a fantasy season for Robinson, but I'm not sure how much of that was on him. I don't think his new team, the Rams, hold him very accountable either. You don't give a guy $30 million guaranteed who you don't have confidence in. A lot of owners will be once bitten, twice shy about Robinson, and it's hard to blame them as he doomed many a fantasy season last year. Robinson is now a member of the reigning Super Bowl champs, though, so I'm back on the train. In his last full season in 2020, Robinson racked up 1,250 yards and 6 touchdowns on 102 receptions. Last but not least on my underrated fantasy assets at wide receiver is Kenny Golladay of the Giants. Golladay was wasted in Jason Garrett's offense last season, but most Giants offensive players were. New head coach Brian Daboll is bringing in the gunslinging offense that made Buffalo so dynamic last season. So Golladay is in as good of a set of hands as he can be. Last year and the COVID season prior to that put a foul taste in fantasy owners' mouths, so Golladay has a depressed ADP. He's being drafted behind players like Tyler Boyd and Darrell Henderson, when just 2 years ago, he led the league in receiving touchdowns with 11. If Daboll can prioritize getting Golladay the ball with consistency, especially in the red zone, he will return dividends to patient owners. And there you have it. Underrated fantasy assets at the wide receiver position. If you like what you hear, if you like what you heard, give us a comment. Follow us at RosterWatch.com. Join us at RosterWatch.com. And this has been the Trash Man on half of RosterWatch.com. Say that 3 times fast. Until next time, be ready.